Greetings gamers, I'm Gav. In this series, I plan to cover the entirety of the Path of Exile 1 campaign lore. I'll try to maintain a pace of about one act per week, and as we get towards the end of the campaign, Path of Exile 2 will be right around the corner. My narration will be interwoven with the wonderful voice-acted dialogue, as well as the fantastic musical works of Camille Ormond Janowski, to fully immerse you in Wraeclast. We'll go act by act with each video, learning the lore of the game together, piecing it all together and uncovering its secrets. This will entail a full clear of every single zone, and reading every single piece of dialogue that we find along the way. Leave a like if you learned something, and subscribe for more. Now let's dive in. Path of Exile begins with a choice. Which exile would you like to begin your journey on? Each exile is in the midst of their sentencing, prior to being cast out of Oriath, to the foreboding lands of Wraeclast. Thus is the fate of all criminals. Oriath is an island located on the southeast coast of Wraeclast. It's run by a theocratic dictatorship, known as the Order of the Templars, and led by the High Templar, whom at the time of our exile is a man named Dominus. On the character creation screen as we click on each class choice, we can hear High Templar Dominus reading off their crimes and reasoning for their exile to Wraeclast. For this lore playthrough, I chose the Duelist.
What did you do with your gifts, Duelist? You squandered them on self-indulgence. Sin has led you here, your path inked in the blood of gratuitous murder. You have betrayed the grand arena. Now Wraeclast shall be your audience and your foe.
Washing up on the dark and unforgiving shores of Wraeclast, we find a man leaning against a large piece of driftwood. They too were exiled and seemed to be fatally wounded.
You and I, we're the only ones that made it to shore. Alive, anyway. Looks like you found something you can defend yourself with. Good. This place is crawling with criminals. There's smoke rising just east of here. Could be worth checking if there's...
Suddenly, the corpse lying next to the man springs to life and takes a bite out of the dying exile. Ready to defend ourselves, we plunge our rusted sword into the unliving. We follow the advice of the now dead exile and begin heading east, towards the smoke seen in the distance. As we make our way across the dark, sandy shores, we fight through more drowned dead that have somehow risen and are extremely hostile. Even the wildlife is out to get us, with small crab-like creatures spitting sand at us aggressively. Finally, we reach the end of the strand and come to a fortified encampment. Blocking our entrance is a massive undead creature by the name of Hillock. This brute has a blade stuck straight through his heart and is now a zombie as well. As we approach, they immediately attack, trying to punch us with their massive fists. Dodging their blows, we whittle Hillock down. As soon as the odds seem in our favor, he suddenly removes the sword from his chest and begins to strike. The monster almost seemed to enjoy the pain. We manage to stay away from their blade and dispatch Hillock. Approaching the gate of the camp, a survivor kindly opens the gate for us, commenting on our victory. We enter Lioneye's watch. Upon entering, we see several sharpened posts with hundreds of letters nailed to them. They appear to be the crimes of each exile that was cast out to Wraeclast. There's over a dozen different options that rotate around when you select these letters, including the brute Hillock himself, which we'll listen to.
Hillock of Slow, you have transgressed against your god and your fellow man. You have been a willing vessel for the following sins. Mortal wrath, 6 counts of common homicide, 1 count of infanticide, 2 counts of homicide with post-mortem desecration, unlawful avarice, 12 counts of extortion through threat of mortal harm, 7 counts of armed larceny, 2 counts of armed larceny resulting in mortal harm, unsolicited lust, 4 counts of rape, 2 counts of attempted rape, mortal wrath, 1 count of rape resulting in mortality. God has charged me with your redemption. You are hereby exiled to Wraeclast, where it is hoped you shall come to repent your sins and make your peace with your beloved father.
Hillock wasn't a very good guy. We continue into the encampment. Other survivors seem to be barely getting by in this fortified camp. We speak with the first person we see. They don't seem too fond of us.
Now there's a face I never expected to see in exile. The maidens of Oriath must be wailing in their beds now that their mighty duelist has left them. Or is that why you're here? Did you perhaps choose the wrong bed in which to celebrate your conquests? I'm Nessa, and I suppose I should thank you for ridding us of Hillock, that putrid giant you felled out there. Back in Oriath, I disdained your kind. In Wraeclast, I don't have that luxury. Lioneye's watch isn't much, but it's ours. We could use you here, while you live. But should you wish to venture out, do just one thing for me. Out on the coast, amongst the wrecks, there must be a ship's medicine chest. I have many to care for, and there's only so much I can do with herbs and seawater.
We agree to look for the medicine chest during our exploration of the coast. Directly next to Nessa stands a pirate-looking gentleman.
A dashing duelist, drenched and deserted on the dreariest strand. That's the first line of the poem I'm writing about you, Exile. Easy, lad. You could lacerate a bloke with a look like that. The name's Bestel, captain of the good ship Merry Gull. Alas, my Merry Gull is gone. My crew is gone. But my wits remain, after a fashion. There's an island, a hop, skip and a wade offshore of the terraces. That's where my Merry Gull ran aground. Watched the locals spit roast the ship's doctor, but his medicine chest might still be there, amongst the splinters and bones. It'd have everything Nessa might need. Dr. Shaky Hands Opton was lousy with a scalpel and even worse with a saw, but he knew his apothecary. Explains the shaky hands, if you ask me.
Bestel was kind enough to provide us with a lead on these medical supplies. We ask their opinion of Nessa.
Poor Nessa. Not even a mother herself, and yet she cares for us all. And what a sickly, pathetic brood we are. May she live to have her own family, a real family. If anyone deserves that, Nessa does.
Curious about the living dead we came across on the beach, we ask Bestel what he knows.
Errol, the Merry Gull's cook, washed up on the rocks over yonder. Dead as a doornail he was, buried him myself. Then, a few days later, I see him on the beach. A little worse for wear, but upright, shuffling about. A land full of disturbing surprises, this Wraeclast.
Thanking him for all the information, we meet who appears to be the leader of the camp.
Fine work with Hillock. Where'd you learn to fight like that? No, forget I asked. We exiles have no history. Dominus took it from us when he had his blackguards dump us in the water out there. Here, got something for you. Should help you kill a few more of those undead bastards. No, don't bother thanking me. The way I figure it, the longer we fighters live, the longer everyone lives.
Tarkly rewards us with a gem of power, also known as a virtue gem, as thanks for dealing with Hillock. These gems, when placed inside our gear sockets, seem to allow us to learn and harness that power or skill, a valuable tool in dealing with the threats of Wraeclast. But we've yet to learn about their history or true power. Tarkly tells us about this camp of theirs.
Founded by Marseus Lioneye as a supply station for his campaigns against the Karui. In its day, Lioneye's watch could be defended by just a small garrison of well-armed legionnaires. What have I got? A handful of starving criminals with driftwood clubs and rusted hatchets.
We inquire further about the drowned dead that we met on the beach.
The Eternal Empire has some right nasty leftovers. Whether it's something in the air or in the water, no one stays dead in Wraeclast. Not the first time. Can take a little while, but sooner or later corpses wake up and go looking for breakfast.
He then tells us about the other two we met, Bestel and Nessa.
That hat Bestel wears? Saw him pluck it from the real captain's head right before the cannibals barbecued the poor bastard. Waste not, want not, I suppose. Yes, Bestel's got a gift for telling tales, but I'd never call him a liar. The truth's always in there. You just have to listen for it. Nessa's the one keeps the rest of us from losing our minds. To be honest, when she first arrived, I didn't think she'd survive more than a day, 2 at most. She's been proving me wrong every dawn since. Heard a bard once sing that the fairest flowers bloom in the foulest places. He was bloody well right.
And finally, we asked Tarkly what those letters of exile at the entrance to the camp are all about.
I've seen many an exile pass through Lioneye's watch, and many more that simply pass on. Those letters are my way of keeping track, of remembering. Oriath might want to forget us all, but I'll be damned if I will.
Thanking them for their time, we prepare ourselves for the dangers that lie ahead and enter the coast. Following the shore to the east, we make our way through more zombies and sandspitters, passing by half-eaten corpses on spikes. We come face to face with the cannibals in their camps surrounding the coastline. It seems everything on Wraeclast, including most of the living, want to kill us and eat us. Systematically making our way through their camps, we find some lore carved in large stones detailing the history of the Karui.
Kalm's canoe struck this sand with the force of destiny. At his beck, the greatest war host in Karui history tamed the wild sea, their canoes coupling with the land one by one. Lioneye's gemlings met us with shining metal and bold words. Hyri's arrows withered their pride, Kalm's axes silenced their despair. Marseilles Lioneye fought bravely to the last. Kalm honored him with a place on his belt. Kalm has shown Wraeclast our Karui strength. Kalm will teach Wraeclast the Karui way.
My understanding of this carving is that many years ago during the Karui conquest of Wraeclast, Kalm overtook Lioneye's watch from Marseilles Lioneye himself. Reaching the end of the coastline to the east, we find a rune on the ground called a waypoint. This allows us to teleport to locations that we visited and located the waypoint for. As we explore and discover more waypoints, it will allow us to teleport to and from those different locations. I'm not sure if we'll get lore or magic behind these or not, but we'll find out. We continue to an island along the beach in search of the medical supplies that Nessa is in need of. As we travel south along this small island, we face large crustaceans and monsters that spring up from the waters called tide striders. Continuing through more crabs and cannibals, we come to another weathered carving inscribed on a large rock, which contains further history on the Karui.
Kalm has removed the eternal stain from this coast. The Empire's citizens decorate our meeting houses with their heads. Our warriors build homes for our families. Our families till the earth, fish the waters, fill the air with song. The Karui way is yet a seedling here, but it grows, gains in pride and power every day. Kalm has kept his promise. The time of the Karui has come.
As we circle the island further, we find the wreckage Bestel spoke of, along with an ice-infused zombie named Hailrake. Was this Dr. Shaky Hands that Bestel spoke of? He throws an advancing wall of ice crystals at us. Dodging out of the way, we quickly take Hailrake down. On his corpse, we find a box of medical supplies. Nessa will be pleased. Clearing out the remainder of the Tidal Island, we run back to the coast. The beaches begin to turn into marshes as we continue east. We enter the mudflats. The beaches were definitely no vacation, and neither is this location. Armless beaked birds named roas with spikes protruding from their bodies rush towards us, attempting to rake us with their large talons. Zombies come up out of the mud as we approach them and attack us as well. We make our way around the flats and discover roa nests throughout, atop caked mounds of mud. After clearing out the nearby roas, we search each nest. Each of the three contains an oddly shaped iridescent seashell or fossil of some kind. There's the Haliotis glyph, the Ammonite glyph, and the Roseus glyph. The mudflats also contained another weathered carving of the Karui.
Black storms descend on us from the north. Unnatural tempests of rage and hatred, lashing our backs, tearing at our houses. The rain is shot with shadow. It withers our crops, sickens our livestock. And the wind carries with it a restless spirit that breeds melancholy and madness. A spirit that creeps through our dreams, weaves tales of misdeed around our resting minds. We try not to listen. We try to remember ourselves. Some of us forget. Brothers fight. Brothers die. Kalm punishes those that quarrel, that steal, that murder. Yet still the nightmares goad us into malefaction. We Karui are banished from sleep.
It seems their mere existence on the unforgiving lands of Wraeclast is causing them nightmares and madness. Kalm's people are losing their hope and their minds. To the furthest eastern parts of the mudflats is a blocked entrance. Near it is a strange glyph wall that appears to match the glyphs we found inside the Roa nests. Upon placing each glyph inside the wall, the entrance to the Submerged Passage is opened. We enter briefly to get the waypoint to save time later. But before fully exploring this area, we backtrack to the far west of the mudflats. Pushing through a broken barricade, we enter the Fetid Pool. In the center of this area is a necrotic-looking pool of water. A thick green mist surrounds us. We come across animated bones of dead Roas and skeletons as well that attack us. What's controlling these monsters? Continuing around the edge of the water, we find the source. A hooded necromancer suspended in the air is raising and controlling the bones of these creatures. Their name is Cadaverous the Defiler. We deal with the necromancer and continue our circle around the Fetid Pool until every last creature is dead. After calling the final one, the green veil of undeath and necromancy slowly lifts from the Fetid Pool. We use a portal scroll to waypoint back to Lioneye's watch. We begin by giving Nessa the good news of our findings.
I'd almost stopped believing in miracles. This medicine chest, it's greater than the serums and salves it holds. It tells us that we can do more in Wraeclast than merely suffer. I've not much to offer in return, but please, take something in thanks for what you've done.
We ask Nessa her thoughts regarding the leader of their camp, Tarklee.
Tarklee's as good a man as you can find on this god-forsaken coast. He has some wrongs to right, no doubt. What they are, I've never asked, and I never will. If not for Tarklee, we'd all be dead.
She then answers our questions regarding those birds in the mudflats, the Roa.
Don't tell Tarklee, but they're the foulest fowl I've ever tasted. Still, exiles can't be choosers.
Finally, we ask her about Bestel.
The Merry Gull ran aground on the Tidal Island trying to escape from pirates. As tends to happen here in Wraeclast, her crew met a far worse fate. Cannibals. Tarklee pulled Bestel from some hideaway in the wreckage. The ship's only survivor. Whether the ordeal fractured his mind or whether it was just in his nature all along, it's clear that Bestel sails a different course to the rest of us.
We then talk to Bestel about our findings near the wrecked ship.
So, you managed to salvage Shaky Hand's druggery. Nicely done. Nessa will put it to good use. More than that benumbed quack Optin ever did.
We ask what he thinks about Tarklee.
Tarklee, rescued from the waves. A stricken Bestel, fate's slave. From fallen crew and broken bark, Bestel lives, thanks to Tarklee.
And he has a poem for the Roas as well.
Roaming, rotting rowers, roosting right here in Wraeclast. Squawking, suppurating spooks stalking our sandy seashore. Blighted, bedeviled bird bones beaking about our business. What? Can't a man have even a little fun in this dismal place?
Bestel might have more than a few screws loose. We speak with Tarklee regarding the Submerged Passage entrance that we unlocked.
Now that you've drained that passage, best I warn you about something. I was running down a wounded rower one night's eve when I glimpsed something in that waterlogged cavern. Looked a bit like a sand spitter, only the size of a bloody ox. I reckon it's nesting down in those flooded depths somewhere. If you're going that way, then do us a favor. Spill the old shield crab's guts before it gets hungry and comes looking for us.
We'll definitely be on the lookout for that massive crab. We tell them all about the Fetid Pool that we cleared out.
A necromancer? Just the one, was it? Guess the bastard got a bit lonely, decided to make himself some pets. Well, good to see you don't mind getting your hands good and filthy. Here, to mark a dirty job well done.
He gives us a quest to clear out Axiom Prison and the Warden named Brutus.
I've traveled inland on the Emperor's Road via Prisoner's Gate. Had to skirt around Axiom Prison. That's the holdfast of Brutus the Warden. Bloody treacherous trip it was. Worth it? There's forest inland. Game, berries, fruit. More food than we can scrounge here. But most here wouldn't survive the journey. Would be a damn sight easier if we could pass through the prison. Tell you what, you carve us a path up the coast, find us a way past or through Brutus, and you'll have more than a few lives owing to you.
We then ask him about the Roas. Tarklee has experience hunting them.
Rowers? Overgrown chickens with a murderous streak. If you're not careful, they'll talon your guts out and snap them up like big fat worms. That said, be sure to rifle through their nests if you get the chance. Rowers are like magpies, attracted to what shines.
That makes sense as to why they had the iridescent shells, the keys to the Submerged Passage. They just like shiny things. We ask about the cannibals that we faced on our way up the coast.
Though they might look like you or I, behind those eyes there's nothing but darkness and hunger. Whatever's got inside those folks is not even close to being human.
Ending our conversation, we tell Tarkleigh the good news about finding the medicine chest.
That medicine chest you found, it'll do more than you might think. The medicine will run out, it always does, but Nessa won't. Give that girl a sliver of hope and she'll carry it to the end of the world.
It seems everyone here thinks very fondly of Nessa. We teleport back to the Submerged Passage. Through various crustaceans and baby squid-looking creatures, we begin exploring this massive cove. To the southeast, we find a tunnel that leads deeper underground. We enter the flooded depths. This must be the home of the massive sand-spitter crab that Tarkleigh spoke of. We make our way through more hostile zombies, sand-spitters, and more squid-like creatures called siren spawn. After exploring the entirety of this cave, we come to a gigantic crab, the Dweller of the Deep. It begins calling smaller crabs to attack us, and we slowly overcome its onslaught, slaying the creature and continuing through the Submerged Passage to the next area, the start towards our journey to Axiom Prison. We enter the Ledge. Standing in our path are skeletons, goatmen, cannibals, and humanoid avian creatures called gluttonous gulls. Journeying north through the ledge and dispatching these enemies, we come to another weathered carving, further detailing the Karui conquest.
The earth of Wraeclast rejects the dead. The black spirit of storm and dream now reaches into the ground and raises up our slain imperial foes. It leads the fallen from their graves and drives them to fight us beyond the end, rotted tooth and jagged nail. Our own remembered have joined their cursed ranks. No longer may we give our beloved to the birds, messengers of spirit to the sky, conveyors of flesh to the earth. Calm has commanded us to destroy our remembered with axe and fire. Calm is the bravest of us, willing to bear the ire of the ancestors for the survival of his people.
The undead curse of Wraeclast seems to be affecting the fallen Karui as well, forcing the living to fight their dead brethren. Further to the northwest, we find a sentient totem named Kuduku, the false god. It almost looks Karui in nature. Were the cannibals worshipping Kuduku? After taking down the totem, we come to the end of the ledge and reach the next area, the climb. Continuing our journey towards the prison, we make our way through more skeletons and goatmen, heading north, coming to yet another weathered carving.
The black spirit infects living flesh and bone. The animals suffered first, their bodies changed, their eyes filled with a hatred of mankind that is beyond instinct. Now it is we who must bend and bow like saplings before the sea-born gale. The firstborn of the kingdom of Calm greeted us this day. The firstborn of the kingdom of Calm was buried this day. Even our children are not spared the black spirit's touch. What have we done to enrage Wraeclast? We look to Calm. Our king will lay the spirit of this land at peace.
The Karui seemed cursed almost, though I'm not too sure what they mean regarding the Black Spirit quite yet. Atop a hill, we spot a battle standard belonging to Marseilles Lioneye's army. It says simply, "There is no honor without sacrifice." Finally, we make it to the crumbled entrance to Axiom Prison. We quickly obtain the waypoint here and head back to turn in our quests in Lioneye's watch. First, we speak with Nessa.
The tale of Brutus was a popular one in the schools of Theopolis, taught in the hopes of deterring students from ambitions not condoned by the Templar. Brutus was warden of Axiom Prison and one of the most feared men in the Eternal Empire. But there the histories end, and the myth begins, with Brutus commissioning a witch to transform him in a mad attempt at immortality. A moment of hubris that didn't end well, for anyone. If it's true, then Brutus has my pity. Some of us pay too dearly for our mistakes. Yet if you insist on learning from your own mistakes, then please, take one of these. You might need it.
We ask Bestel what their grand plan to survive Wraeclast is.
One day we'll be strong enough to make our way inland, build new lives on the carcass of a dead empire. It's why God sent us maggots here, isn't it?
We talk to Tarkleigh about making it to the prison, as well as our culling of the crab threat.
There's a fine line between man and monster. Brutus, the Warden of Axiom Prison, he crossed that line long ago. A big lad, and as you know from Hillock, big lads are slow. Hit and run, that's the way to cut them down to size. Unless there's thaumaturgy involved, then forget the hitting bit, just run. You managed to kill a granddaddy crab. A pity you couldn't lug it up out of the caves for us. Could have made quite the chowder out of it. No matter. We've got one less reason to fear the dark, and I've got one more thing to thank you for.
Seeing as Tarkleigh has seen the most combat outside of the camp, we inquire on the goatmen we encountered.
There's many a way to die in Wraeclast. Most of them are mercifully quick. But you get caught alive by the goatmen, you'll wish by any god you believe in that you hadn't. I've heard some of the more superstitious exiles say there's a deity these goatmen worship. Abarath, Eater of Agony. Sounds like a right bastard if you ask me. So if the goatmen hand you an invitation to go have dinner with the cloven god, tell them where to stick it.
Back to the prison we go. Necromancers named Diabolists have risen nearly all of the dead prisoners here as either skeletons or zombies. Slowly making our way room by room, we travel through the prison. To the northwest, we come across some kind of trial room. Outside of the sealed doors is a bronze monograph with this message carved out.
In the court of the goddess, every man and woman is deemed worthy of redemption. Though you might be shackled by the tribulations of the past, the trials ahead offer you both freedom and glory. The future is yours if you're bold enough to reach out for it.
We're both bold and curious and accept this challenge. Spiked traps line the floor and rotate around the room in a pattern. Carefully stepping through these traps, we press the lever on the other side, which opens a gate. We make our way through the gate and onward to the end of the trial, past more floor spikes. Taking out the creatures in this room, we find a plaque. On it are 6 circles, one for each trial. As we reach out and touch the plaque, the first circle is filled, and we hear that same voice once more.
Belief is the strongest metal of them all.
Behind us on this same platform, a portal is opened, which takes us back to the beginning of the trial. That was definitely interesting. I wonder where the remainder of these trials are. We continue on through more necromancers and undead. On the far northeast side, we finally reach the steps leading further into the prison. We come face to face with a necromancer boss who's responsible for a lot of the risen in here. Their name is Sawbones. The skeletons aiding him finally rest after we end the necromancer's life. Through the narrow prison corridors and past many cells and chambers, we slay every undead in our path. In the southwest corner of this area, I found a secret location. A switch on a pillar revealed a hidden path to a chest containing varied flasks. Finally, in the far southeast corner, we locate the entrance to the next area. Following a trail of blood, we enter the Warden's quarters. As we approach the barred quarters, a woman is standing in the Warden's study and addresses us. Their name is Piety, and they seem to recognize us.
I recognize that pretty face. Grand Arena, Theopolis. I've a future in mind that I think would suit you, duelist.
We rush toward her, but she's already left to the north. There's a curious journal in this study.
Still the Karui barbarians advance upon us. Lioneye is dead. His legion slaughtered, along with every eternal man, woman, and child from Lioneye's watch to the foot of our axiom. Should the need arise, we shall retreat through Prisoner's Gate, raising my barricade behind us. Yet our salvation is at hand. Foul times demand heroic deeds, and through my arts our Lord Brutus will arise anew to defend us. May the dry sands quench their thirst with Karui blood when our mighty Warden delivers his judgment upon them.
Chevron must be the witch that Nessa spoke of, the one that Brutus commissioned to transform him and make him immortal. Brutus is no longer a man, but an abomination. We continue in search of Piety while on the lookout for Brutus. Following a trail of blood, we suddenly find the Warden.
Your crime is trespass. Your sentence is death.
Brutus is a massive creature with large stump-like fists and a large chain hook which he can reel you in on. Like Hillock, we outmaneuver the brute and take him down. Before entering their chambers, we find a note on the ground. A letter from Dominus, ordering someone named Declan to protect and observe Piety.
My loyal Declan, give Our Lady Piety your absolute support and watch her with absolute scrutiny. There is much to learn from the likes of the Inquisitor, the Umbra, and the Soulless One. I would hate for Piety to feel that she need shoulder such perilous wisdom alone. Dominus.
We're not sure who Declan is, but it seems Piety is out to learn from these entities, known as the Inquisitor, the Umbra, and the Soulless One. We enter the Warden's chambers, which seems to be some kind of interrogation room. On the ground in the back corner of the room is a letter of instruction.
Dear Chevron, you have certainly had your work cut out for you with Lioneye's legion. Do not concern yourself with Marseilles' complaints. Our Emperor is fully aware of the General's fickle nature. As to your need to accelerate the implantation process, I can recommend a quite simple alteration. Dip the gem in a boiling solution of 6 parts blood and 1 part thormetic sulfite for no more than 13 seconds. Any longer, and you invite the crystal's wrath. Once the gem is withdrawn from the solution, you have but a few seconds to install the gem in the prepared flesh and close the wound. Should the gem cool too much prior to implantation, it will become inert, and you're patient with it. Trust in that bountiful talent of yours, Chevron. My thoughts are with you. Malachi.
This Malachi seems to be in a position of power, but we aren't sure who he is yet. I assume he's speaking of the virtue gems, and rather than implanting them in armor, it seems they were experimenting with implanting these gems inside of people. Perhaps that's what Chevron did with Brutus. We reach the other side of the prison and quickly grab the waypoint and the prisoner's gate in order to portal back to Lioneye's watch.
For some, death is welcomed with open arms. Did you end Brutus's suffering out of avarice or mercy? Only you know the answer to that one.
We then ask her what we know about Piety.
I can think of only one reason why Piety would be here. She's interested in the sickness that pervades this place, the corruption that raises the dead and twists the wildlife into aberrations.
Tarkley will want to hear the good news about us slaying Brutus.
The Warden's free of his own prison. Well, since you're so bloody determined to cheat the britches off death, you'd better have one of these, for luck. And when they write the song about you, just be sure to mention that it was Tarkley who taught you everything you know.
We're becoming quite flush with these virtue gems. We can feel our power growing. Onward to Prisoner's Gate, continuing down the Emperor's Road. Fighting our way through goatmen and flame hellions, we follow the road to the east. Piety is waiting for us at Chevron's barricade. She runs past it and raises the wall behind her, sealing our way.
You're a fine blade in need of forging, duelist.
We'll have to find another way into the forest. Continuing to the northeast past more goatmen and flame hellions, we find a possible way through, the ship graveyard, quickly grabbing the waypoint and heading back to Lioneye's watch to ask around about the area. Nessa tells us of a siren, a sea witch named Merveil.
Merveil dwells in the caves beyond the wrecks, at the head of Siren's Cove. Leave her be, and we can only hope that she continues to return the favor.
We talked to Bestel about the path being sealed by Piety at Prisoner's Gate.
Piety's raised Chevron's barricade. Not that I was likely to ever make the trip inland, but it was nice to have the dream. Hang on a moment. Got a stray thought seeking safe harbour. Piety's one to watch her own back, so she'd never cut off an escape route from possible trouble inland. The cunning witch must be able to lower that barricade from the other side, somehow.
We then ask him about Merveil.
Siren's Cove belongs to Merveil. Those butchering buccaneers sailed off that way, the ones that plundered my poor Mary Gull. 'Twould be poetic justice if they'd stopped off for a sing-along with Merveil's lovely daughters on their way home.
Lastly, we talked to Tarkley about the blocked road.
Why would piety go and cut us off from the interior? Well, thankfully, I don't have it in me to know what that witch thinks. But I reckon you'll work it out. Once you've lowered Chevron's barricade for us, of course.
He's very confident in us. We ask him about Merveil.
If you have to quench your curiosity about Merveil, go look at the corsairs that haunt the grave of ships. Like any mother, Merveil's got hungry mouths to feed.
I guess it's time to investigate this coast and locate Merveil. It might be our only way through to the forest. We waypoint back to the ship graveyard. Zombies and Roas attack us on sight as we explore this coastline. To the east is another tale of the Karui carved into a rock.
Calm stands before us and looks out to the raging sea. He sings, calls, screams to our ancestors to come to our aid. He offers them gifts of old, a feast of heart and mind, muscle and marrow, cooked in the fire and rock of this angry land. We have not practiced these ways in so many years. Only in the darkest of times, most desperate of times, do we perform these oldest of rituals. Only here and now may we sacrifice and consume our own. Only in our king can we trust this return to our ancient selves.
The Karui struggle seems to continue. Up the ridge, we see a man standing near his ship, Captain Fairgraves.
Frankly, I would have been surprised if you hadn't recognized me. Yes, 'tis I, Captain Sigmund Fairgraves, wave-tamer, pirate-bane, and conveyor of civilization to barbaric lands. So, what am I doing here, apart from blowing my own bugle? I'm marooned, languishing, thanks to a pair of pretty blue eyes. Stuck fast in the filthy mud of Wraeclast, thanks to one sultry little slave girl. I liberated her from the flesh pits of Trathus, and she repaid me in full with sleight of hand and swift feet. Turned the coat of my first mate, took my hard-earned all-flame, and with it the wind out of me sails. Find my all-flame, I beg of you. Until I feel its warmth again, I'm trapped here, high and dry, until the sun's final setting.
We offer to help them if we manage to find where the slave girl ended up. We ask Fairgraves more about this all-flame of his.
I hunted the vagaries of a near-forgotten myth to a shattered cathedral in the Inner Empire. I took the all-flame and encased it within a lantern of pure silver, the only element it seemed incapable of consuming. Oh, the all-flame does many a marvelous thing in the hands of one who knows how to harness its power. Oh, banish any thoughts of using it for yourself. It would burn you alive.
We see what he knows about Merveil.
My loveliest neighbor in this most salubrious of neighborhoods. Facing Merveil and finding my all-flame are two mutually exclusive endeavors. I'd much prefer you to live to see your errand fulfilled. Although it is possible that my wayward slave girl fell prey to one of Merveil's slithering progeny. If that be the case, you look resourceful enough to handle a tentacled wench or two. But if Merveil herself has my flame, be very wary. That necklace of hers provides the old siren with some subtle wiles indeed.
Her necklace?
If the history books are to be believed, Doreso the Daring presented the necklace to Merveil on bended knee. And from the moment he placed that little chunk of Wraeclast at her throat, Merveil began to sing. It's told her sweet voice grew to fill even the largest concert halls of Oriath, and brought warmth to even the coldest of hearts. But then she began to change. Her mind and body twisted, as did her songs. Well, the sweetness remained, while the sanity fled. Knowing what little I do about the powers that lie dormant here in Wraeclast, I'd surmise that if you have Merveil's necklace, you have the siren's voice.
It's time to locate Merveil's Cove, as well as the slave girl that stole Fairgrave's Allflame. We continue west through more zombies, and indeed the spectral swashbucklers that Bestel and Tarkley warned us of. All of the tentacled beasts we fight on these shores and in these coves are the children of Merveil, according to Fairgraves. She mates with the sailors she lures in with her songs before killing them. To the northwest we find another Karui legend.
Calm is gone. Our king has taken our finest 500 warriors and descended into the depths of Wraeclast. He spoke to us of a vision, a gift from the ancestors. Calm has been deceived. The vision was a gift from the Black Spirit. It has conquered Calm. The Black Spirit has conquered the Karui way. Hyri has made ready her canoes. We will take those that are left, 500 forgotten families, and carry them back to their true homes, back to Ngā Makanui. Calm's promises have led us into nightmare. Hyri will lead us back to the dawn.
The Karui are fleeing Wraeclast back to their home of Namakanui, led by the niece of Calm known as Hyri. Calm has fallen to darkness chasing a vision. Near the weathered carving, we locate a cave dug out beneath the wreckage of an old ship. We strategically place a portal here to travel back to, once we've obtained the waypoint to Merveil's Cavern. Continuing west through more ghosts, zombies, Roas, and children of Merveil, we locate Merveil's Cavern and use the waypoint to travel back to Lioneye's Watch, then strategically passing through our open portal in order to enter the cave that we found, in search of Fairgrave's Allflame. Fighting through crabs and more cursed sailors and mariners, we fully explore the cave until finally finding the corpse of the slave girl Fairgrave spoke of. Suddenly from the ground, a siren named Stranglecharm emerges and attacks us. Dispatching Stranglecharm, we search the corpse of the slave girl and locate the Allflame. Coming out the other side of the cave, we return the Allflame to Fairgraves. We tell Fairgraves that we found it.
My Allflame, my blessed damned Allflame. Oh. You want your moment in the firelight now, do you? Unfortunately, necessity is what it is, and for the Allflame to give life, it must first be kindled with life. And since suitable kindling is in short supply around these parts, I have little option but to make do with what I have. Namely, you.
Suddenly him and his skeleton crew attack us.
Please understand that as a gentleman of honor, it pains me greatly to do this. Hard times call for hard hearts. I'm sure were the circumstances reversed, you'll do precisely the same.
We manage to defend ourselves and take down Fairgraves.
It's not every day that I get to duel with a legend. Thank you, Fairgraves.
Portaling back to Lioneye's Watch before braving Merveil's caverns. We speak with Nessa.
If you must take your chances with the siren, then have this. It may be of some help. But please, know that you don't have to do this. Tarkley and I are getting used to having you around.
Next, we see what Bestel has to say about our encounter with Fairgraves.
Fairgraves was a good man, a fine explorer. He opened the door to many a new world, for better or for worse, usually for worse when it came to the natives. There's some peace in the knowledge that he now rests where he should. Let's not speak of Fairgraves again, shall we? He was an inspiration to many. 'Twould be a shame to spoil a good hero.
We check our gear and our flasks and prepare ourselves for the Sea Witch. It's time to waypoint back to Merveil's Caverns. As we enter and begin advancing into the caverns, we hear Merveil singing in the distance.
I gave away my heart on the promise of my life. I gave away my love for nothing.
Etched into the skin of a sailor and displayed near the entrance are these words.
Welcome, husband. We knew in our hearts that you would find us. Come, Doresso. Ambrosia and Amarissa must meet their father. Come, my love. Return to your family.
She's awaiting the return of her husband, Doresso of Theopolis. We fight off sirens as well as the children and daughters of Merveil, while spectral sailors and crabs join in on the fight, slowly making our way through the winding cave system of Merveil's lair. The glimmer of treasure catches our eye. Upon opening the chest, Amarissa, daughter of Merveil, springs out and begins to attack us. We put down Amarissa, which angers Merveil. When we kill her, Merveil screams.
My daughter!
We reach the next area of the caverns, the Cavern of Anger. As we step inside, we hear Merveil once more.
I wait for the day's return, Doresso. I date a good wife.
Locating another treasure chest, we're more prepared this time. This one is indeed also a trap. Ambrosia, daughter of Merveil, attacks us and we take her down quickly. Once again, Merveil is displeased, shouting, That's both daughters that she spoke of. Were those her children with Doresso? With our eyes set on the sea witch herself, we continue on, through more sirens and children of Merveil. Finally reaching her through this maze, she says,
At last, I have so much I wish to share with you.
We enter Merveil's lair. Piles of gold, jewels, and riches flood the entirety of her lair, likely the bounties and offerings of all the sailors and pirates that she's lured here with her songs. As we approach, she says,
This is love's true face!
We dodge Merveil's icicles, and with our final blow, she suddenly shifts from her humanoid appearance to a tentacled horror, an overgrown version of the offspring that we've been fighting, Merveil's true form. Quickly, we dispatch the monster that she's become.
We stand at death's door. Ladies first, fair Merveil.
Among the pile of bones of her victims lies Merveil's diary. We read from the damp diary.
Doresso gave me the gem, kissed me, promised that he would be by my side forever. I sang for him. I sang for Oriath with his gem at my throat. Khaleesi's gem, Khaleesi's voice. I sang in her echo, performing arias that had once made the Empire weep. I listened to Khaleesi's lullabies in my dreams. I gave myself to her music, mind and body. Doresso left me for San with a promise to free me from Khaleesi. I begged him not to go, tried to show him the wonder of my transformation, the beautiful daughters he would soon meet. He couldn't see. None of them could see. I fled from their hatred. When Doresso returns, I will cast his cure away. I will teach him what true love is.
The exit to the southern forest is now open. We enter quickly to grab the waypoint and continue back to Lioneye's watch to share the news of slaying Merveil.
I thought you were a fool for seeking out Merveil. A fool in love with death. Now, I don't know. Still, you've delivered this coast from the terrors that long held sway here. We may now find some respite, and that's more than any of us could have hoped for. But please, consider this. What have you become when even nightmares fear you?
Next, we tell Bestel of our exploits.
Quite the lady killer, aren't you? That singing squid didn't stand a chance. Knew it from the first time I saw those sharp peepers of yours. Well, pirates notwithstanding, I thank you on behalf of all the fallen brethren of the waves. Now that the final cadence has been played, no one need remember Merveil's song.
Poetic as always. We speak with Tarkley.
Damn me. I didn't think it possible. All these souls Merveil and her brood have consumed over the years. You've done right by those that are dead, and by those who still might live.
Merveil is now slain, and the path into the forests beyond the coasts is now open. We've helped the people of Lioneye's Watch and learned a thing or two about this godforsaken place called Wraeclast. As we claim more power from this land and these virtue gems, we're prepared for our next challenge. I hope you've enjoyed this Act 1 journey. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe for more documentaries, reviews, and lore, and I'll see you all in the next video, in which we'll cover Act 2 in a similar fashion. Farewell.